Football in the last year has been full of ow, 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 why, oh, ow. A lot of people watch football either for entertainment or your relatives telling you that you need to watch it. For me, I started watching football at a young age and would participate in flag football for a few years. In a sport where a guy that likes mayo in his coffee can beat the highest scoring offense in the league, anything can happen. There's some stuff to go over when it comes to football, including both teams line up on the line of scrimmage, which is a imaginary little line that you have to think is there. Usually they try to reach 10 yards, and then it has a new set of downs. Downs are the amount of tries a team has to advance their drive. A drive being a collection of plays that they use every single time. Quarterbacks usually try to have some sort of cadence with the center in front of them. An example would be like Dak Prescott, because he mostly just says, "Here we go," and then he throws the ball. But other times he says, "Here we go," and he passes it to his running back. There are tons of fan bases that people enjoy and like to be in, but there's also very sad franchises in there. There are 32 teams, so it's kind of tough to just choose one. Usually I root for the Browns, Broncos, Eagles, and Cowboys as of recent. In football, you hire coaches for almost every single position, along with a head coach. Some head coaches look like walruses, and other head coaches don't know how to count past 3. And others that get mad on every single drive. It just depends. There are several types of referees, with a head referee maintaining the group. This is the most popular position in football, with the position being able to throw the ball, run the ball in any direction. The quarterback can pass the ball to the guy behind him, named the running back, and he can also throw it to a wide receiver or tight end. Notable quarterbacks include Joe Montana and Jalen Hurts. This guy runs really fast, trying to get as many yards as possible on the field. The running back used to be the most important position back in the old days, but now it's the quarterback. Running backs usually try to run through the offensive and defensive lines to get down the field. A lot of people would say that Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, and Barry Sanders are quite notable running backs. Also, sometimes running backs jump over people, and that's called a hurdle, or they shove into somebody and make them fall over while they're running. Very impressive and strong running backs can do these things almost every game. Wide receivers run down the field as fast as they can and try to catch the ball that the quarterback throws to them. Most receivers become drama queens and are just very troublesome off the field. Those include Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. When you think of wide receiver, a few names come to mind, including Mike Evans, Jerry Rice, Calvin Johnson, Michael Pittman. The latter is quite young and still has a lot of potential he hasn't tapped into. The tight end is more bulky than most receivers and is given the ability to guard against the defensive line. Tight ends can catch the ball, but sometimes they just give up, or they date Taylor Swift and they just fall apart. I'm not sure why tight ends are so limited, but they are. There's only 3 to 5 good tight ends every season, and at the moment, the one I like the most is TJ Hawkinson, mostly because he's on the Vikings and he looks like a Viking. It's really staggering. The center is usually directly in front of the quarterback and hikes the ball into their hands. In a weird act, the quarterback taps the rear of the center to notify the hike. Some notable centers include Jason Kelce along with Joe Thomas. Centers are very likable people typically, and I'm surprised that there's only so many that get recognized. They also have a very good sense of longevity when it comes to playing, with Joe Thomas having the most consecutive starts for every single play. The guard is usually next to the center, holding against the defensive line. They have the ability to create gaps for running backs, making them more adjustable throughout the game. There are two of these guys on each side of the offensive line, and they aim to stop edge rushers. Unless they hurt something, tackles are pretty consistent on the field. These guys are cool because they stop like a brick wall, or they miss a tackle and then a sack happens. Opposite to the offensive tackle, this guy aims to push around the offensive line to create holes for linebackers. They can also get around the line to get a sack, stopping the quarterback in his tracks. That just rhymes. The defensive end lines up next to the defensive tackle, tasked with stopping the running back. Defensive ends are very threatening and ominous when trained right, leading to sacks and batted passes as well. A good example of a defensive end would be Myles Garrett, one of the most consistent players on the Cleveland Browns. There are three types of formations with linebackers. There's the middle linebacker, the inside linebacker, and the outside linebacker. These guys were very flashy in the 1980s and 90s, looking like they could destroy the opponent at any time. There is a very solid chance that some linebackers might actually be insane. The complete opposite for inside routes and tight ends, safeties are very important for a defense to succeed. Their goal is to fumble the ball out from receivers and gain ground, but sometimes it doesn't work out. Cornerbacks typically cover the wide receiver, aiming to stop plays and get interceptions. Cornerbacks fail to do so sometimes, but that's usually due to poor penalties. Cornerbacks can also grow an ego, but they're definitely not as toxic as wide receivers. The goal for an edge rusher is to ram through the offensive line's edge, hitting the quarterback to stop the play before it happens. This position is very new, leading to it being difficult to stop. Chase Young is a great example of an edge rusher, even though he's been beat up a lot over the years. There is no real way to stop an edge rusher, especially since it's the newest position getting drafted nowadays. The special team has a few positions, including the kicker. Mostly separate from the punter, the kicker's goal is to hit the ball between the posts of the fork at the end zone. There are some notable kickers like Justin Tucker and Adam Vinatieri. The punter is brought out when their team cannot do anything after 3 plays at a long distance. They kick the ball as far as possible, placing the ball close to the opposite end zone. Sometimes punters get so popular that they create their own shows and talk to Aaron Rodgers every week. If the punt returner brushes past the punter can hit him out of bounds. There's a guy named the holder. Pretty self-explanatory. He just holds the ball in place for the kicker. Just as self-explanatory as the holder, the long snapper is a different type of center. Firing the ball to the holder, the long snapper has to chuck the ball behind them with intense accuracy. Sometimes centers and long snappers snap high into the air, which makes it tough for the quarterback or the kicker or the holder to catch the ball. The kick and punt returner can be seen as the same thing. After catching the punted or kicked ball, the returner tries to gain as many yards for their team. Some returners can run to the opposite end zone for a touchdown if they are lucky. There's also some positions that I personally don't know, like whatever an up back is. Additionally, there are guys with the gunner and jammer positions. I know they're involved with special teams, but I don't know exactly how they work. Now that we're done figuring out positions, now let's figure out. Whenever a player on the offense gets to the end zone at the end of the field, it's called a touchdown. Additionally, if the defense recovers the ball through a fumble or interception and runs into the end zone behind the offense, that is also a touchdown. The number for a touchdown is 6 points, with options of adding on to it afterward. One of the options after scoring a touchdown, the kicker hits the ball between the goalposts soon after. The defense can block the kick, leading to the touchdown only being 6 points instead of 7. The other option post-touchdown, the conversion can be caught or rushed into the end zone for 2 more points. Typically, this option is rare, but it has become more prominent as of recent. The defense can stop this as well, leading to the touchdown being just 6 points instead of 8. The other most used option for scoring, field goals, are typically made whenever you cannot reach the end zone properly. So let's say you're about 45 yards out. That's a perfect spot for a kick if you need it. Field goals are 3 points and occur a lot throughout the game. If an offense is too close to the end zone behind them and they are stopped in the end zone, the defense earns a safety. Safeties are almost always 2 points. Okay, I lied. This idea is insane, but here it is. If an offense turns over the ball just to get it back and scores, it counts as a 1-point safety. This occurs like once every 3 years in college football, but never occurred in the National Football League. Now that you know scoring, let's talk about the traditional way to play football involves using the running back, causing him to run through the offensive and defensive lines in an effort to gain yardage. The act of the rush can also make the game clock run, causing a detriment to get the ball back on the opposing side. If there is a major gap in the defense, the running back can gain a lot of ground. Additionally, if a player on the defense pops the ball out from the running back's arms, they can recover it for their team with a fumble recovery. The quarterback can throw the ball forward to a wide receiver or tight end for a gain. Some linemen are able to report that they can catch the ball as well for every play. Cornerbacks can catch the ball in front of receivers for an interception. Depending on the quarterback's strength, pass plays can end up with several different gains in yardage. Some quarterbacks are able to throw the ball upwards of 60 yards, so having a very good receiver catch the ball makes a big play. If every receiver possible is covered, the quarterback can break loose for a run. Some defenses will hit the quarterback if he slides, which causes a penalty. If they're lucky, the quarterback can gain a ton of ground. The term mobile quarterback mostly comes from how effective players are when this play is called. When out of options or in a big lead, teams can mess around with trick plays. Running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers can throw the ball to the quarterback or other players in those prior positions. The former Tennessee Titans head coach, Mike Vrabel, has been unfortunately connected to using these plays every game instead of strategizing against the teams he coaches against. If anyone on the defense can handle the quarterback before they can throw, it counts as a sack. Sometimes the defense hits the quarterback after the throw, allowing just a QB hit. If the defense is too strong, they can get penalized for roughing the passer. The defense can catch the ball in front of receivers and tight ends, creating an interception. If the defense runs all the way to the end zone behind the offense with the ball, it counts as a touchdown. Tackles are when the defensive and offensive linemen collide into each other with a goal to overpower each other. Kind of like two magnets, they are pretty much stuck together. If the defense moves the line enough and pushes into the quarterback's space, this counts as a pressure. Pressures lower the chances of forward motion from the offense. Edge rushes push around the offensive line with the hopes to sack the quarterback. These plays are newer than any other, besides the new use of the QB rush. If a team is a touchdown behind the other and they just scored, there is a chance that they will try an onside kick. The punter will kick the ball with a small arc, trying to get it past 10 yards. If they are able to do that and recover the ball, they regain possession. Now that you know some of the plays, let's go over. When a player jumps past the line before a play starts, that is a false start. This penalty can be put on everyone on the field. It is very rare for a center to get penalized for this, as they tend to keep the tempo for most plays. If someone is lined up off the line in any way, a penalty will be thrown. This is most common with linebackers, but some offensive linemen and tight ends can be penalized as well. If a defensive player smacks into the quarterback as they throw, this penalty can come up. If either side of the field starts to turn into an MMA fight, players can be in trouble. Additionally, late hits can cause penalties as well. This one has become more common as of recent, with wide receivers using their back as a way to cover a throw. Cornerbacks get in trouble with this as well, especially when tugging jerseys or pushing wide receivers. Both of the sides are supposed to have only 11 men on the field. If there are any extras, this penalty comes up. This is similar to pass interference, but linemen usually get the ire of this penalty. If you hold the opposition's pads for more than 5 seconds while they're in motion, the penalty comes up. There are several penalties with illegal being in the name. Usually these are for plays where positions are in the wrong spots, or someone who can't catch the ball does so. There are also some bad blocks from the offense. If the quarterback throws the ball on the ground and there is no one out there to catch it, this flag enters the scene. Hopefully this helps your knowledge of football, but maybe it doesn't. This is as much as I know, so I hope you enjoyed it. I'm trying a more improvised style as of recent, so this video took some time. Now that the Super Bowl is approaching, this is the perfect time to put this up. Thanks for watching this video.